You're listening to the Muslim Life Hackers podcast.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Mifrah Mahroof and welcome to season 3 of Muslim Life Hackers podcast. The Muslim Life Hackers podcast brings together individuals from all walks of life to give their insights on an area to help you live better, achieve more, and succeed in this life and the next. If you're new to the show, make sure to check out our episode archives over at muslimlifehackers.com, where you will find all the episodes from season 1 and season 2. Now, let's get started. Today we'll be speaking to Sister Nadia Yunus. She's a spiritual, creative, and personal peak performance coach. In this episode, we talk about finding our unique purposes in our lives, giving ourselves permission to embrace it, and how to tackle all the obstacles that come in pursuit of it. So enjoy this episode with Nadia. Assalamu alaikum, Nadia. Welcome to the Muslim Life Hackers show. Thanks for joining us today.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, and thank you for inviting me and having me on your show.
So to start off, can you please give us an introduction about yourself in a few sentences?
Okay, so I'm Nadia from the UK. I'm a spiritual, creative and personal peak performance mental coach, and I help my clients make instant and positive mindset transformation changes so that they can make positive changes in all areas of their life, live upon the deen, and inshallah ta'ala prepare for our best akhirah, inshallah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you do work around pretty much this is personal development and self-growth. Mm-hmm. And so beforehand, when we were discussing what topic to focus on for the interview, one was put forward called Permission to Purpose, which I found very interesting and something I'm sure our audience would benefit from. So can you explain to us what it's all about?
Okay, so from Permission to Purpose. Firstly, about purpose, for us Muslims, from my perspective, we've got two purposes. There's ultimate purpose, and there's our unique purpose. So if it's okay, I can just explain a little bit about that, and then we can go into the purpose, the permission part.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so our ultimate purpose is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As he said in the Quran, in Surah Dariyat, that I, Allah, did not create man and jinn except to worship me. So that is our ultimate purpose. And then comes everything else, which is like the marriage, the family, the procreating, the eating, the studying, etc. Yeah. So, and most of the times, us as humans, we do get stuck in this part. We don't completely understand it. We do come across it, but we don't fully understand it, hence why we do have challenges. And another thing about me is I don't really say issues or problems, I say challenges, just because it gives like a positive twist to it, that there is a solution. So I always say challenges.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So that's our ultimate purpose, which is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then is our unique purpose. And from my perspective, how I describe it or define it and I teach it is that each of us has a unique purpose, a role that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us that we need to fulfill on this earth, and it's aligned to our ultimate purpose. So now this unique purpose really can be anything for any of us, whether that's being a lawyer, doctor, a personal development coach, a nurse, a mother, any role that you take, but it is aligned with our ultimate purpose.
Yeah.
So those are our purposes, and where we get stuck normally is that, and you're a keen personal development person, so you would know where they talk about values and beliefs. So if our actions are not aligned to our values and beliefs, there's going to be turmoil from the inside, inner, and then the outer. So it's a bit like that. So you probably see how many people, if you read about them, they say that we were doing a certain job and we were working in the corporate world, and then, we weren't fulfilled, but they were making like 6-figure income, for instance, and then, they found a calling. So for me, that's our unique purpose. So eventually we get to that, and it's aligned to our ultimate purpose, which is worshipping Allah. So what happens is that we start off on the good intention path, and many of us know our ultimate purpose, and we're working on it. Many of us are trying to find that unique purpose, and many of us are living it or found it. And then is a permission part. So you think at times, because we're always going to be growing, we're always going to be learning, we're always going to be growing, and we're always going to be peeling a layer from ourselves and learning more about ourselves. So it's like peeling an onion.
Yeah.
And it's more layers that we reveal. It's always like that. You probably get to a point where you think, you know what, I figured it all out. I know it. Life's perfect now. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give us another test. And then we have to go back to peel that onion again, to peel that layer again. So we may be on the path to finding our unique purpose or practicing it or got there. Then comes the permission part, because we get stuck. So we're like, we're going okay, we've launched our business, like I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I'm on that path, but then I get stuck. And you probably heard it as limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
So like, we're on that path, we're trying to achieve, yet now something stops us. Maybe it's fear of success, fear of failure. We've got ourselves a booking for something, we worked hard to get that booking, whether that's a speech or an interview, for instance, and then we fall ill. That's happened in my case many times. But it's a fear. So, and what's really underlining is we're not giving ourselves permission. So although we've probably now found our unique purpose,
yeah,
and we're aligning it to our ultimate purpose of wishing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, but we get stuck in the limiting beliefs, we don't give ourselves the permission, because all these things start popping up in our head, such as, who am I to do this?
Yeah.
If I do this, I'm going to fail. I don't know how to do this. Somebody else out there is already a celebrity, and they're getting all the likes, they're getting all the attention. Who's going to listen to me? So then we back up again, and the steps that we've already taken to get towards our living our purpose, we stop because we don't give ourselves permission. So I hope that kind of made sense. That was explained.
Yeah, makes sense. So pretty much you were saying that there is the ultimate purpose, and then there's a unique purpose, and then what happens, like what this topic is about, which means permission to purpose, is that once we find that unique purpose, we don't give ourselves permission to pursue it, pretty much.
Yeah. Because we sometimes we actually don't know.
Yeah.
So, whenever you've had the limiting belief, and I've obviously had it as well, and as I said, we're always going to be peeling that layer of ourselves to learn more about ourselves. So when that happens, it's that permission part, because now we're not giving ourselves permission. I mean, who says that we have to seek permission from an external source?
Yeah.
To go ahead and do that. So that's
true.
one of the parts. If I can just mention in a workshop that I did, and this probably illustrates it even further, in a workshop that I did called Life Management, in that, one of the sisters, actually, it's like an example right in front of me that happened, was she was caught up in the life that she was living, as many women do, and then they forget who they are themselves. So obviously we've got to go back to the start, to now finding themselves, for instance. And so one of the exercises I gave her was like, for instance, look in the mirror, look into your eyes, and give yourself permission. Say, I am beautiful. I can. Just by one step, not even doing the whole, self-work to the end level, but at least taking that first step. And subhanAllah, she couldn't even take that first step. She was like, I can't look in the mirror and say that to myself, because she had been told so many negative things from her spouse for all these years. It had become so ingrained in her subconscious that is what she believed.
Yeah. And
now, even taking this first step towards the positive change, which she wants to, and that's one of the extreme ends of the clients that we can say, but it was such a challenge for her to even take that step, to just to even actually look in eye to herself. So if that kind of illustrates it a little further, it's like she couldn't give herself permission to do that. And you're looking into your own eyes, not into anyone else's. SubhanAllah.
So would you say that this happens because of just like the things that they heard growing up, or like why do people find it hard to give themselves permission?
As you've just touched on, it does happen. It does all start from childhood. Yeah. We all need to work on ourselves. So if all the parents are listening, then please listen up on this part. I mean, research has shown and proven that the first 7 years, and even in our Islamic principles, if we look at it, how Rasulullah says how we're supposed to, the first 7 years, how we're supposed to be towards our children, and the next 7 years, and then the Western research has shown that the first 7 years is when things are ingrained in us. So that's when we start imitating our adults. So whatever the adult is going through, and in fact, I was actually talking to my mum about this, about research showing how it all kind of starts in the womb. So however the mother is, like, is she happy, is she stressed, is she thinking certain things, that energy goes, because everything is energy, and that energy goes to the child.
Whoa.
And exactly, and the child is already born with issues, basically, because it's picked up on the mother's energy.
That's crazy.
It's subhanAllah. I mean, if you see how some babies are when they're born, for instance, I think my sister-in-law was actually cute. So I'm probably going to use a lot of examples from my family, so I'm pretty close to them. But as my sister-in-law was saying, that somebody's baby was born, and that's the exact example she gave, because the mother had so many challenges, etc. When the baby was born, but the baby was like really angry, not a happy baby, and you wouldn't assume that of a baby. Obviously, they cry and they just want to sleep, and that's about it. But you don't see a baby really irritated.
Yeah.
Unless it's, a real medical condition. But this baby just was not a happy baby. So the energy firstly gets picked up from the womb. And another example my mum gave was about how she watched something on one of the Islam type of channels where the baby was able to recite certain verses when it was starting to grow up. Because it was already memorized because the mother was reciting them, memorizing them while she was pregnant with the baby. So it starts from there, and then the first 7 years, we pick up on things. So you and I probably not even remember half the things that happened when we were 3 years old, because I really can't. But they're picked up from there, and because we're like a sponge, and we pick up everything, and it gets stored in our subconscious. And so that's why things happen the way they happen now, and we can't really point a finger at it.
Yeah.
Especially the deeper stuff, when you get deeper into it. And when you get into the personal development side, as you know yourself, you're always going to be peeling those layers, and there's more deep work to do. So this is why when you yourself probably feel this, or your clients feel this if you're a coach, it's because it's so ingrained in the subconscious from that tiny age that obviously you can't remember. So that's when it actually does first start, and then it continues in the sense that, well, by 8, for instance, if we're at school, we're really kind of aware anyway by that age, and we're learning and stuff. So we are, and obviously now we're living in a fast internet age anyway, so everything is so instant and fast. Kids are picking up more things than they did back when we were growing up, or me really. They pick up more stuff now, and they're more aware, and there's more intelligence in them in knowing things that in essence is not quite there that we kind of had. So it just starts from there, and then it kind of builds on. I mean, because we all know, we've all been through high school, and we all had issues. Yeah. But it kind of really doesn't start from high school. So, it kind of starts from there, from tiny age.
So, okay, I mean, the thing is now we're all grown up, and we can't really go back to the past, right? So,
no, we can't.
What can someone do if they find themselves in that situation that they're having troubles giving themselves permission? I mean, I know you mentioned the one about how you told your clients about facing themselves in the mirror and saying
well, that's a client if your client comes to you. And if a client is like that, for instance, then you know that there's a lot of work to do, and you really have to take baby steps with them. And if you're willing to, as one of my coaches says, you have to be willing to stand in the fire at that point with them. Not the physical fire, of course, but you've got to be willing to stand in the fire with them and be there present for them. So you got to get out of your own head at that point, because at the end of the day, as I said, we're still going to have challenges. We're human beings. We're still going to have our challenges. So we've got to be, get out of our own head at that point and be there for them and really start from scratch as that client. And that's one of the extreme cases. Of course, there's many people out there, and, they would be going through this. Generally, you start off by reading books. It starts with awareness. So if somebody's listening to this right now and they've stopped and thought, you know what, let me just reflect on my life.
Awareness, okay.
So this has happened because this. They've just opened up. The awareness is starting to open up, which means they're willing to create those positive changes about themselves. They're willing to actually go to places that they weren't willing to before, like none of us were, because we'd closed off from it. So awareness is the first step. So I think most people listening to this will start grasping that now, because we've talked about it. And then the next step is really do grab yourself a journal and pen. I mean, if you can get coaches, fine, but I know many people are not able to, or are not ready for that stage.
Yeah.
So at least start writing down things. So I know that people who listen to your podcast, they're definitely those who want to make positive changes in all areas of their life. So I know that definitely will grab a journal and they're going to start writing.
Yeah.
So do start writing some of the life challenges that you have had, some of the recurring challenges, and then really, give yourself permission. Say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you, and if you're listening to this, this clearly means that you need to work on yourself, as we all do, and He is willing to help you, because Allah said, He's not going to change the condition of a people until they don't change it for themselves with their own soul. So this is your chance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you. Have full tawakkul in Him. Start writing that down. All the things that have been recurring, what's been recurring, when you think it's happened, because there will be a pattern with some things. Some things, you have to go deeper with a coach. Some things you'll be able to see as a pattern. And then, maybe if you make it in like a 2-column kind of on your journal. And on the other side, who do you want to be really? Who are you really? And this is going to obviously take you deeper, because, you're probably going to go back into the person that you once were, but through life, you've kind of forgotten her or him. And then write down who you want to be and what you want your life to be. So remember, this exercise is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's nobody else, unless you want to take on a coach who can help you. But this is between you and Allah, and you've got the full permission. He's created you. He's given you the permission to be awesome. He really is. So it's time to work on yourself, and this is how you can do it. This is the start. So these are the first steps in doing that, and it shouldn't, inshallah, overwhelm you, because we're not really getting into the deeper work. So awareness has already started for all of us now by listening to this podcast, this episode, and then start writing that down in your journal, and then the things that have been happening, recurring, and then what you do want to achieve in your life. What were your dreams and hopes and wishes? Where are you right now, and where do you want to be? And it might kind of get emotional for you. Do grab yourself water, because this is you're releasing energy, and if there is tears, if you are feeling tired and have tears, it's called emotional release, because I'm also an energy healing practitioner. It is an emotional release. It's a good thing. Drink lots of water. So I hope that kind of helps.
So pretty much the first steps, you can say, part of getting permission to allow yourself to do what you want to do, kind of thing. It's being aware of it.
Because this one is like, this is like the easiest steps that you can do. So, take at least one easy step at least. And even if that means you've just listened to this episode and you've got the awareness, I guarantee, inshallah ta'ala, that something else somewhere is going to pop up for you. Because if you really take a step back now, so, that means something's opened up for you. And if you don't do the next exercise immediately, I guarantee that, inshallah ta'ala, Allah's going to send another kind of sign your way that will help you for your next step.
And when we're actually taking this step, say when we're sitting down and writing in the journal, asking ourselves this question, it's not going to be a pleasant experience, right? It's like it's going to get us out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, it's definitely going to get us out of our comfort zone. I call it comfort zone comfort, because it's that comforting.
Okay,
and
that's a good one.
And trust me, I'm one of those people who really loves to stay in my PJs, and I'll stay in my comfort zone comfort, and I don't want to get out of it. It is not nice. I know you probably heard this over again. If I can do it, so can you. But there is no other way to explain it, because I've also been there, and I know you've possibly been there too.
Yep.
You just have to take that one step, and always it's always about one step and a baby step. So I don't want you to take a major leap. That's what I mean. Even if it's just awareness that's opened up for you today, something else in a week or two's time will come up, if you're ready to do the work, and if you're someone ready to start making some positive changes. So that one step is necessary, and to get out, because for most people, the awareness might be the first step out of the comfort zone, and that's enough for now.
Yeah, true.
You get, because we're all on different stages. We're all on different stages in life, so this awareness may be just the first step out of your comfort zone, which is enough for now, inshallah.
Inshallah. So I just want to shift gears a bit and ask about environments, and you see how we can work on ourselves and sit down and do these exercises, but then how can we keep being true to ourselves and continue this, especially if, say, we have certain obstacles, like our environment around us isn't encouraging positive behavior, like especially if say they're even close family or something and they're being negative, and kind of, you can say, like, reinforcing all those negative issues that we're trying to get over. So what can be done in that situation?
Do you know, about 5 years ago, I went through exactly that. And I'm someone who's really close, have an intimate family close, because I'm the youngest, and I've like 2 elder brothers, 2 elder sisters, and they're all married, and I've got like 14 marshal nieces and nephews.
Wow.
So since childhood, I've been really close with my parents and my family. So I spent a lot of time with them. They've seen me grow through my studies and what I want to achieve, what I want to do.
Mm.
And it wasn't until about 5 years ago that it really hit me that unfortunately, even though I'm really close to one of my family members, they're just really negative in every single thing.
Yeah.
And even today, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I realised, because I actually went through a bit of an illness at that point,
Mm.
Alhamdulillah, he cured me and healed me completely. But it was enough, like, for a slap across the face to wake me up, basically. And enough for me to get up and start living on my purpose, living on my true purpose. But it was also at that time that I realised, the stories that I've been feeding my subconscious, feeding myself with, by being with this family member, they're not actually my stories at all.
Yeah.
It's not even who I am. It's not even my reality. And I just stopped living because I started believing these stories. And that was powerful, subhanAllah.
Powerful realization.
Such a powerful realization that even right now I'm thinking, wow, it was enough for me to say, oh my God. And I did a survey for my tribe, for my clients and for those on my list, asking them how I can help them further, what are some of their challenges, and they've said the same thing. And the thing is, it's not easy. I'm going to say that straight up. It's not going to be easy. But what I decided at that point was, you know what, I'm going to stop going around there too much.
Yeah.
Because they're also busy in their life, which is good. I'm just going to have to, and when I mean busy, I don't mean just like busy energy just doing nothing. But this is my chance now to start making those positive changes for myself. And I'm going to stop spending that much time there. Because I thought, what are the stories going round and around? And it was the same stories. And we haven't gotten anywhere in a whole decade. And we've just been going around with the same stories. Did you follow me here? It's like, nothing happened. So we haven't moved any further. We're just still stuck in a rut. And it wasn't even my stories.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to achieve so much. And it's like, okay, family member, if you believe what you believe, it's your belief and your story from your childhood life that's shaping you who you are. It's not even my childhood that I come from.
Yeah.
And it's not even what I wanted to. So at that point, I decided I'm going to step away. And that's when I said, who am I? What path did I start on? And what is it that I need to get back on now? And that was enough for me to start working on myself again. Because I've been in, like, personal development junkie since 21 years now.
Yeah.
I absolutely love personal development. But you see, every point there's something new to learn.
Yeah, definitely.
And for me, it was an awakening for me. It really was an awakening. I literally woke up at that point. So I'm going to say to you that it's not going to be easy. So anybody
it
listening,
requires a lot of bravery.
It really does. And as I said in my survey, somebody said the exact same thing, like, how do we stop spending so much time with them? It's your life at the end of the day. They're not holding you by force. I know there's people who are actually going through certain things, but if you're somebody listening to this and you're not going through that, and if people are going through that, then there's also help available. And inshallah, we pray that Allah guides you towards that help. But if you are somebody listening to this, you have choice. Exercise that choice, because they're still living their life. But that's what was happening to me, because, after we've had these conversations and stuff, and I'm coming home negative and depressed, people getting on with their life, and I'm still stuck. So you have a choice. Make the choice right now to say, you know what, I'm going to find out who I am, what's my life been up until now. And again, there's going to be tears, it's going to be upsetting, but you can't move forward without healing these parts. And it's okay. Know that it's okay to cry about it. Know that it's okay to realize, and know you have not wasted your life, because you have learnt things up until now. Whatever age you're at, whatever stage you're at in life, I know that you have learnt things, because every stage for us is learning. For me in my 20s, this was not for me, like the deeper self-work. I mean, 10 years ago, I wouldn't even be talking about these things.
Yeah.
I'd be more like, why is this thing happening? I mean, I'll still be reading these articles and still be, but why is this still thing happening? Why is it? Because I was still stuck in that why. So you have to be brave enough to say, you know what, it's my life, and I am going to make something of it. And this is something else I always tell my clients, and in my live workshops is, we're all going to be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone at the end of the day, on the last day, on the day of judgment. Nobody's going to be standing with us, not even our beloved ones who gave birth to us, for instance. What are we going to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because He's going to be asking us, isn't He? He's going to ask us how we lived our life.
Definitely.
What did we do with it? So if right now you're feeling, I can't get away from these people because they're my family, which I did exactly the same thing, remind yourself that on the day of judgment, you're going to be standing alone. that should be enough to shake us, you know, to say, okay, right, I got it. And you might need to listen to the podcast episode again for a few times to really get it. But if what I'm saying all so far hasn't shaken you up, then this should. That we're going to be standing in front of Allah alone to answer for our actions, for our life, and for what we did with our life, the time we spent, the health, did we do the works that we're supposed to? Did we, you know, worship Allah the way we're supposed to? So put that forefront. Now, if you do that, that will help you jolt you out of that trance like I was in. And then you will like, you know what, now I need to get back on it. I need to find myself again. And you know what? We all have to. We all have to. So this is probably right for you right now. So this is how you'll have to do that for yourself. And then you do start creating, and you don't even do it like, you know, take a major step and you just never see them again. So close them off completely. Because, you know, that'll be so too much for them to. But, you know, a little step by time. And, you know, even if you're somebody who's not studying right now, not doing some work, but then say, you know, I'm looking for a job, for instance. I'm looking for work. I'm looking to do these things. So you're not really lying, but you're just telling them that you're doing something, and you are trying to look for that, and you're doing that for yourself. So, you know, starting to read personal development stuff, starting to look for a job, or getting more involved in your work or something, so that you are spending less and less there. Because the less that you spend there, inshallah, you'll have that energy and time to start working on yourself. And it was, I think, Jim Rohn who said, one of the personal development gurus from his time, he said that we are the sum of, like, the 5 people
that were around.
That were around. So now it's the time to start. And you know what? Even if you say, I don't have those awesome 5 people, I was exactly the same. That's the honest truth. Most of my mentors have originally started off as those exact same, you know, gurus from online, the Jim Rohns, the Bob Proctors, the Tony Robbins. I've never met any of them.
Yeah.
You know, I just read their stuff, and so that was enough for me at that time. And inshallah, again, as we've been talking, it's like that one step. Take that one step. So that's how to do it. Don't do it in all of a sudden to walk away from the family. But slowly. It's also because we're not busy doing what we're supposed to be doing. So we have got that time there. So get back into yourself. Get back into your own life and do it slowly. And inshallah, and then what will happen is that you'll be able to help them as well once you're helping yourself. Sometimes it won't change, but we can't change anybody else's behavior. But at least it's enough for you, because you need to create that for your own self, for your thoughts, for your mind. Otherwise, you will get stuck, and none of us can divorce our family.
Yeah, definitely, because that would be a bit...
We have the family we have.
Another extreme.
Basically, we can't get rid of our family.
Yeah,
it's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. I think, as he says, you know, sometimes our family is a blessing or a fitna, and it is what it is.
Yeah, it is
but
what it is.
But this is how you can take that step, inshallah.
Yeah, that's all said. You know how you were talking about the stories that we tell ourselves. The other day, I was actually thinking about it, and I had this conversation with a friend. I was telling him, you know, the older we get, the better our stories get. Really.
So do that, alhamdulillah.
They just get so much better and so much believable. And
alhamdulillah. So yeah, these are like the everything starts with that one step, I would say, and it starts with the baby step.
Yeah,
so
starting off with awareness.
Yeah, it is difficult, but I know that you're listening to this, so all your listeners who listen to this, I know they can do it. Because they're listening to you. They're listening to this show, so I know they can do it.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yeah. So, you know, earlier you actually mentioned that this whole, like, permission, giving yourself permission, is something that's common amongst women, right?
Yes.
Why is that?
You should take that deep breath. Right.
Yeah, take a deep breath.
We don't want to upset anybody on this cause.
Yeah.
Firstly,
but it is what it is, right?
It is a deep thing. I think it's definitely something that we need to talk about, because I've done it in my life workshops, and it's really touched many people. So inshallah, maybe we can arrange something live to talk about this. It'll be so awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's firstly our genetic makeup, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us, which is fine, because He's created men and women differently for specific reasons and for specific roles to play as well, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have to, as He said in the Quran as well, He's created us communities, hasn't He? So we've got to live in communities, we've got to thrive in a community. That's how humans evolve. So it's an evolution thing as well. how our societies and how we've evolved. I'm from the Asian subcontinent. I think you are as well.
Yeah.
So for us, for instance, if I can just refer to that, because I do know it happens in all communities, but just speaking from the Asian subcontinent kind of perspective, it's the role that the men had to play in the family and what the women's role was, getting to a certain age. Normally it was a very young age, then getting married and having babies and looking after her family and her children. And in that process, the cycle's been repeating itself for a very long time. Now, I'm not saying this is like a negative cycle in all senses, because obviously my own mother's been through this. I wouldn't be here otherwise. She's been through it. Everybody's gone through it. Many people still go through it. But those values and beliefs and that thinking has stayed on for a very long time, from generations and generations onwards. So when we were born, I don't know how it happened for you, Mifrah, but when I was younger, even though you're allowed to study, you're supposed to do this, come on, we had Bollywood there. We all knew we were going to grow up and get married.
Yeah.
It was just there. It was that romantic thing that you had in your head that you're romanticizing, because that's the way you were brought up.
Yeah.
Of course you go to school, of course you study, but you're still going to get married and be a happy married girl. So we plan all this at a very young age. And when we look back at it, I know you're going to laugh at it when you look back, and we've all done this. When we look back at it, we really laugh at it. But this is how we were brought up.
Yeah.
And because we were seeing the elder sisters or cousins all getting married, we just knew that eventually that's going to happen. And so we also ingrain ourselves from that young age, and then we get into that role of a wife and a mother, and we really do forget ourselves because we give ourselves completely. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't be there for your husband and your children, but again, it goes back to, on the day of judgment, we're going to be standing alone. So because we were ingrained like this, we were brought up like this, we just throw ourselves completely in that and forget who we are.
Yeah.
So that's where one of the things happens, where we lose that permission for ourselves. We don't know how to give ourselves permission, because we forgot who we are. So when I'm doing these live workshops, I mean, I have the ladies who have been married for 5 years to a decade and have a couple of kids, and the kids are now growing up. They haven't got a clue who they are no more.
Yeah.
And then they've got to search again, like, I had this hobby, I wanted to do this. But they've spent all that time and energy in their husband and their children that they've completely forgotten themselves. You have to live for yourself too, without compromising or without neglect. Because someone's getting neglected for sure, and it's yourself.
Yeah.
And if it's not your health, for instance, I know many sisters go out to the gym now, they go for the walks and stuff. If it's not the health or the eating correctly, it's definitely in the head. It's definitely the mindset. Like, oh no, but I can't because I've got it for my family. Oh no, because I've got it for my children. But you have to for yourself. Like, even probably buying something for themselves.
That's true.
Something as small as a handbag or a pair of shoes, for instance.
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, I've seen that.
So many people do, oh no, I've got to...
They feel guilty.
Like, yes, and then that guilt comes up and it's like, what's that guilt about? You have to also live this out. Who said that you got, and this is what happens when the ladies hit the late 30s or 40s on, especially if they've been married young. They go through this. So I think it's been happening for a very long time and generations, and somebody has to break the cycle. And it's not about breaking the norms completely or going against the families. None of that stuff.
Yeah, another extreme, eh?
None of that stuff, subhanAllah. It's just about balance. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said as well himself in the Quran, that he loves moderation in everything. So don't throw yourself completely to your marriage and your in-laws that you even forget your own parents. Who said that? Where's that written, for instance? Or give yourself completely to them and their needs, and then you forget who you are and neglect your needs, because it will come back around and will bite you hard. And that's what's been happening to women. And I think it's because of that kind of the roles that we've got to play and what we're supposed to do. Men go through this as well. So when you really get into this, men go through this, and we know that men and women are different, and we deal with our emotions differently, for instance.
Yeah.
So they will be dealing with it differently, and they'd have, and again, if you think about it, what's one of the things that men have been told generations on, that you got to be the breadwinner, you've got to look after your family, and what if they don't have the job which is really sufficient enough from their perspective, and what if they can't meet the needs of the wife, the children, the in-laws, etc., etc., and they're feeling that they've not played the role that they're supposed to properly, and they feel the guilt.
Yeah.
So I don't want the brothers listening to this, See, so it is that way if we look at the brothers' perspective as well, for sure, from the men's perspective. But if we're looking at the women's perspective, it is how it's been going on for generations. And you know what, you probably find this if you go to family wedding or a friend's wedding. It's the same, you sit with the aunties and everything. It's the same conversation. It never changes.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So this is where it's ingrained, and now it's passed on to us, and we're like, okay, so this is how it's meant to be.
Mm.
So we take that on, and then that's how we live it, and then that's where the ailments come from. That's where a lot of the challenges, mindset challenges for everyone, for the women come from. So I hope that kind of explained it.
Yeah,
well.
so pretty much before any of our roles in our life, we are, like, regardless of whether you're a sister or a brother, we are, first of all, a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes.
Then after that, we are a wife or we're a husband, and then, from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got to remind ourselves again. So if reminding yourself that you're going to be standing alone in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment is enough for you, then I hope that is enough for all of us. Because that is what's going to happen. And then what are we going to say? So isn't it better that we start working on ourselves now? Because we will be asked, did we pray? How did we spend our time? What did we do with our free time? What about our health? How did we use it? These are going to be real questions. So that should be enough for us to realize, you know what? No, I need to start taking care of myself. I need to start giving myself permission. And as I said, for some, it's, unfortunately, it's so difficult. It's such a challenge because they've been told so many things, or because the spouse might be telling them so many things, and they've ended up believing it. It's like psychology. It's like an example, if you give like a model, for instance. She's probably really beautiful, really thin, but when she looks in the mirror, all she sees is ugliness. But when we probably look at her, there's nothing wrong with her at all. It's what she's been feeding ourselves. It's what we tell ourselves. We literally are what we believe we are. So if we tell ourselves certain things, we're gonna create that for ourselves. We're gonna create that life for ourselves. We really will. As they say, we will really prophesize it. It will really come true.
That's true.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Not to scare anybody on this episode. Just raising awareness, inshallah.
Yeah, I want to say there's a lot of thought that like a lot. Sorry. See, I'm even losing my words.
Yeah, you got like I'm
yeah, because like you just like silence me on the outside. So I'm just like thinking, and I was like, yeah, it's true. Okay, so you know what? We're actually getting closer to the end of the episode, so we'll have to wrap up and ask you the questions that we ask all our guests. So first of all, what are your top 3 book recommendations?
Okay, this year I set myself a Goodreads challenge to read 150 books.
Yeah, I think I saw that one, 150 books.
150 books. I made it to like 20-something.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, since January. And I'm going to give you 3 books which you've probably not heard of at all, because what I did was I went to the library and I could take out 10 books, and I sat in the psychology personal development section. I sat there and I pulled out all these books that I'd never heard the title of. I'd never read online or anything. And I thought, okay, why not? Because, sometimes we just really go for the bestsellers or the names that we've heard over and over. So the first one is called Live a Life of No Regrets by Susie Heyman. And she is actually an Agni aunt who worked for one of the magazines, the teen magazines, for years. And the thing about this book is it's really in-depth, and I recommend everyone to get it, from the males to the females, because it touches on almost all aspects of our life, and we will actually go deeper to what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And it will really help you with the exercises and the case studies that it gives. I mean, I started reading, I thought, this is really deep. There's a lot to read, a lot of exercise to do, but at the end of it, you really come out more aware and you really start working on yourself. So, Live a Life of No Regrets by Susie Heyman. So that's the first one.
Number 1, yep.
The second one is, I've marked them, I've got this book here, because what I've also done is I've got myself A4 book, and I've started writing reviews of all these books for myself.
Yeah.
So I can go back to them. The second one is by Richard Templer, and it's called The Rules to Break. And he's written this as a theme of books that he's written all about the rules to break. And this is, I said it's a fabulous book. And it's written by a Brit, and I really understood his humour. So, being a fellow Brit, I really got his humour. And it's really about maxims in life that we've been told.
Yeah.
And it really gets us to question those maxims and how to break them and how to give a positive twist to them. So I think there was about 30 chapters in that, 30 different rules to break, and it was really good. So you're going to really enjoy this book. It'll go through the maxims, it'll go through the rules, and it'll give you a positive twist instead. And you'll really, because you know what, the thing is, we do never question them. We actually never do question them, and you really will, and you'll be like, really? Oh yeah? why do I say this? Why do I believe this? So that's definitely. And the last one is one that I read just last month, and it's just a new release, and it's by a Muslim brother, Umar Mabduchi, if I said his name correctly, and it's called The Muslim Entrepreneur. So for all the business owners and entrepreneurs out there listening to your podcast and this episode, please get this book. I have literally been waiting for this book for the last 6 years as a business owner. And the brother has done research for the last 2 years to put this book together, and he's interviewed over 40 Muslim millionaire and billionaire entrepreneurs and business owners.
Yeah.
And how they made it to where they have. And it's 10 principles for the Muslim entrepreneur, and it covers Quran and Sunnah. It's really in-depth, and it will really connect you back to your purpose. And for me as an individual, obviously, I've learned and read so much from the Western perspective that sometimes I question myself to be successful and wealthy. Like, again, that limiting belief, that permission, like, who am I to be this?
Yeah.
Who am I to do this? And this book really broke all the barriers for me.
Fantastic.
And subhanAllah, it just really took me over, and I'm going to get a hard copy of it, and it's going to be something I'm going to refer to over and over again. So that is a definite. So those are the 3 books, inshallah.
Yeah, and those 3 books, to our listeners, you can find them on our show notes, and all our show notes are on our website. So you don't have to worry about taking it down as you're listening right now.
Yeah, it's probably frantically writing it all down.
Yeah. Okay, so the second question that we have is, what's your favorite life hack? Final advice for those who want to take their lives to the next level.
Inshallah. I think one of my favorite ones is, and I always say this, is that all the resources that you need to achieve awesomeness and greatness for yourself and your families, the ummah and humanity, are all within you. So all the resources that we need are within ourselves. We just need to step back and reconnect with our soul and reconnect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and find those. So you don't need $1 million to start off a business venture, for instance, and you don't need extensive knowledge of X, Y, and Z to begin. You begin with yourself. The resources are within you.
Resources are there. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because it's always the pursuit of finding more and more and more.
Yes.
And just acknowledging
begin
what
with
we
yourself.
have.
It's all within you.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yes.
So finally, where can our audience find you online and connect with you?
One of my brands, because as an entrepreneur, I've got 13 brands. So one of my brands is Ruby Inspired, which is Islamic personal and spiritual development. So I know, like, the majority of your listeners are going to be Muslim. So it's www.rubyinspired.com.
Yep.
And from there, you'll have all the links to my public page on Facebook and Pinterest and Google. And I'm pretty much on all social media.
Yeah.
Pretty much on all social media. And inshallah, in the coming months, I will have my official website, NadiaYunis.com, up and running, and then that would help. That will be really easy to navigate through all my brands and stuff. But currently, if you just want to go to rubyinspired.com and grab a free book for yourself, free ebook for yourself, and all the blog posts I've written and YouTube videos, vlogs, it's all there, inshallah.
Oh, excellent. So finally, is there anything else you'd like to mention that you didn't get to do so?
Just, I would like to quickly say, firstly, Jazakallah khair for inviting me on your show. I've been listening to it since the very first day. I'm a life hacker. I love your podcast. I listen to all of it.
Thank you so much.
And I learn so much. I absolutely do. Because, when I'm working online, I need to have something in my ears. And I always listen to your show as well, alhamdulillah. And I just want to say to all the listeners that you really can achieve all that you want to achieve. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us the best of creation. And He has given us all the resources that we need. And He, if you don't believe in yourselves right now, then borrow mine and Mifrah's and the Muslim Life Hacks belief. And still, if you don't believe us, then, as in, having that confidence and belief, then know that the one who created you believes in you. And you can achieve greatness, not just for yourself and your family, but our ummah and humanity. You're no different to anybody else who's achieved greatness. You are special. You have unique abilities, talents, and skills and knowledge, which you probably forgotten about right now or not giving yourself permission. I was once there too. And you need to reconnect with yourself, and yes, you can. I believe in you.
Fantastic. Well, Nadia, thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So there you have it, the interview with Nadia Yunus. One thing I want to touch upon is the point of rewriting the negative stories that we have grown up with, and how it's not an easy task. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be uncomfortable, and it does require bravery. The easy option for sure is just to complain about it and remain a victim, but Is this the type of life you want to settle for? That's a question we all need to ask ourselves. On a side note, the topic of finding our unique purpose, if you want to get deeper into this topic, then do check out another interview I did earlier on personal visions with Sheikh Sajid Umar. It was episode 2 from season 3. Anyway, that's all for today. If you've enjoyed this episode, take the time to share it with a friend. Send an email, a Facebook message, tweet, WhatsApp, or the old-fashioned way, in person. Now, this brings me to the end of the podcast. Friends, until next time, remember, the only person you should aim to be better than is the person that you were yesterday. So give it your best today.
Thank you for listening to the Muslim Life Hackers podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a review for us on iTunes by going to muslimlifehackers.com/iTunes.